Welcome to the last chapter of the tutorial where we will talk about how to deploy our SaaS into the cloud. So we will be using two providers here. The first one is Supabase, which will provide us with the database, and then the Vercel, which will provide us a platform to host our application. Before we start, we need to push all of our code to GitHub. The reason will become very clear in a moment. Next, we need to go to supabase.com and register there. You can continue with GitHub to register. This is free and only takes a minute. We will also need to go to vercel.com/signup to create a free account on Vercel. I have already created my account on Supabase, so let's start by creating the database. Under the Supabase dashboard, I will go to New Project. For the organization, I will use the free one. Let's give this a project name. Now, I do need to generate a strong password for the database. For that, I can use the user interface over here. Let's copy and save it in our environment file. Now, one important thing is under security option, we only need a connection string for this database. We don't actually need the data API. If we want, we can use it later, but since we are using the Prisma ORM, we don't need it. And with this, let us go ahead and create the project. Now, this will take a while the project is being created. I have waited for a bit, and now I can see that my database is fully created. So I can click on this connect button here and go to ORMs. At first, let us copy the connection string. This one requires me to manually set the password. I have copied the password in the previous step. So let me fill the placeholders and delete this one. Next, for the schema file, this is asking me to have my data source defined as below. The only difference with our local data source is that we do not have the direct URL as mentioned here. This is needed for migration purpose. So let me save it, and we are ready to connect with the PostgreSQL database that Supabase will give us. Now we will also need to commit and push these changes. To save time, I have already done that in my repository over here. Now I will go to vercel.com and I will start creating a new project by clicking on the Add New button. The easiest way to create a new project is to import a Git repository. So I already have created the Git repository as shown before. I am going to import this one. Vercel is smart enough to detect that this is a Next.js app. So let's go ahead and import. The root directory is good. And I also need to set some environment variables. For that, what I can do is go to the .env.production file, copy everything, and paste it over here. For some reason, the direct URL did not work, but I can manually paste the value. Now this looks good. The next public app URL is something we will get after we make the initial deployment. So let's go ahead and click on the deploy button. Now I need to wait a bit while Vercel runs all of the deployment commands. It will notify me when the deployment is ready. And now I can see that the deployment is ready, and Vercel is showing me this nice user interface to show the deployment status. So one last thing I need to do is to update the next public app URL for our application to work. For that, I will click on Continue to Dashboard. Here I can see that Vercel has given me a free domain, that is aichatfreemius.vercel.app. I will copy it. I will go to settings, environment variable, and create a new key here, next public app URL with the value https aichatfreemius.vercel.app. Let's save it. We need to redeploy for the changes to take effect. So let's click on this button here and click on redeploy. Make sure production is selected. And now we will wait a bit until the deployment is created. I can click on this button view deployment, which will take me to the status of the deployment. Now that the deployment is done, I can actually go to the domain that Vercel gave me. Click this button here, start interacting with the chat, sign in. Trigger the paywall and make payments and continue using this application. So this concludes how to build and deploy your app using platforms such as Vercel and database providers such as Supabase. We hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you have any questions, feel free to ask our support. Have a nice day.